Every great creative work stands on the shoulders of giants. Welcome to RetroInspection, where we examine and find out where the things we love today came from.
So, everyone knows how the story ends. We're not going to ruin a 200-year-old story.
I mean, come on, yeah. I mean, how many times are we going to watch it in the next month?
Right, Tiny Tim lives.
Yeah,
because
in cartoon form, in puppet form, TV adaptation, YouTube. Jesus Christ! I bet if we did, I haven't searched. I bet if we search on YouTube easily, since the advent of recorded film, we're probably talking about dozens of adaptations between TV and movies.
Oh, hundreds across all sorts of languages.
Yeah, I don't know how much traction this has internationally, but certainly in just in English language, TV and film, we're probably somewhere at 70, 75 at least.
Oh, easily.
Plus radio.
So, I was thinking about, our thing is, about inspiring works and how this inspired other works. And we'll talk about that later. But I was thinking, what inspired Dickens to write this, right? What were the works, the literary works especially, because that's mainly what they had, right, that inspired him? And I could really only come up with maybe he took elements from Shakespeare with the various ghosts, right?
Yeah, plenty of ghosts.
But he used ghosts in a very different way than I'm probably wrong, but in a very different way than the way that ghosts were used in Shakespeare, either to frighten, to warn. Well, I guess there it is, to warn.
Yeah, right. And the basic trope of ghosts having unfinished business.
Right.
Hamlet's dad hangs around for a reason.
Thematically, I think he draws inspiration from the Gospels. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But in terms of the idea of purgatory and hell, I mean, is that Dante? Did he take that from Dante? From Inferno? What do you think?
Probably, yeah. Or you got to remember, he's only living 300 years after the Catholic Church has been forced to relinquish its hold on Great Britain. It's not like Catholic doctrine is unknown to people of his age. It's not like there aren't still Catholic. Again, Ireland is still the bastion of that, where the British government is trying to mash that out by various means, and had been at this point for well over 100 years. And that's why they started moving Calvinist Scots into the north of Ireland. It's the reason why, to varying degrees, both of us are even here, because I would wager that both of us, given parts of our ancestry, are products of the mid-1700s emigration. And a lot of those people came from plantations in Northern Ireland and ended up, certainly in my case, in the South.
Well, I actually, I don't know. I'm a relation of Miles Standish, the great Indian killer from that I believe was with the Pilgrims. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Standish. Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways.
I mean, just as an aside, but this
right.
It's a big thing.
Well, as a product of all the colonization that occurred in the United States and North America, South America. So yeah. All of our influences, are a blend from across the world, mostly Europe, though I would say. So aside from his inspirations, he's obviously inspired, like you said, hundreds of retellings of the story.
Yeah.
And I think because it's so iconic, there haven't been too many evolutions of the story, so that someone takes, and there's one that I can think of, I'll talk about,
Yes.
where that takes the story and makes it something new.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of that, his inspiration seems to only be in, because it's an iconic story, in the number of times his story is retold throughout the years. So you've got how many silent Christmas carols that were made in America and Europe. Thomas Alva Edison made one.
Right.
So, I'm sure there are silent films in Great Britain that were this story. Then there were the talkies of this story. Then there were the TV shows of this story. Then there was, Scrooged, which is a more modern telling of the story, right?
There's Muppet Christmas.
There's Muppet, right? It is all over.
I'm pretty sure there was a Rankin Bass cartoon. I'm pretty sure.
I think there are several cartoon versions. I think Jim Carrey did a CGI version, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, he did. And then, but I mean, it's like almost every sitcom at some point, if it lasts long enough, does a parody version of it. Married with Children, particularly if it's somewhere in the sitcom, there's a stuffy, moneyed, priggish antagonist character. I mean, if it was shit, man, here's Lucy probably did one where Gail Gordon is visited by ghosts. I don't know that. I'm just supposing. But yeah, no, the parody versions alone could be their own field of study, because there's been dozens, if not hundreds, of those since the advent of television. And again, probably, I guarantee they did this on the Jack Benny show at some point. I cannot imagine if they didn't.
Well, I think I think we talked a little bit about this before. The only one that there were no Star Trek adaptations that we remember. Although there was, I think, in The Next Generation, wasn't there a Scrooge episode where
Patrick Stewart
Picard is does a Scrooge version?
There's other ghost stuff, especially if you count like his hallucinated life in the Inner Light, for example. That's kind of a ghost story. But I can't think of any of the franchises doing this really directly. DS9 missed out on doing this with Quark. They could 100% have done this with Quark, and they didn't. It probably seemed hacky in the era. I don't know.
Well, like, subscribe, repost, share everywhere. To see what else we're up to, visit xynobooks.com, xenobooks.com.